he would intentionally spark jealousy between women and revel in the harem, lapping up their flirting. He may be my father, but he was an awful man. Yeah, like for example, if this was a thing that happened a lot for Rudolph, and he actually enjoyed that sort of stuff, and then afterwards he married Asumu, and afterwards married Kirie. Like, I don't want to sound really rude to Rudolph, but it would definitely be very easy for someone like Rudolph to cheat with other people than with someone like, say, Hideyoshi, who we don't know much about his prior past before marrying Eva, but you could definitely sense in Hideyoshi like a very loving person and a respectable person who knows how to love a person. Rudolph, I mean, let's not forget the fact that he is part of the Ushiromiya family, which has its problems, so... I mean, let's not forget that, hey, Kinzo was eventually married to someone, to their mother, who we don't know who it is, even to this point. And then the mother was eventually thrown away, like, out of the blue. And, well, you know, maybe the kids were young at that point. What did they feel about that? They definitely didn't see much. They probably didn't see much of a loving couple between Kinzo and the mother. So where would the kids know how to learn to love and build a family? They wouldn't have any like any role models for them to sponge from. Because, well, right now, the families are definitely having difficulties, that's for sure. I mean, I guess so.
でも、お父さんも同時に媚びへつらう女の子たちをきっと見下してもいたのね。そんな中に自分の価値観をしっかりと持ち、知性を見せるお母さんは目立って見えた。
それすらもルドルフの目を引きたいキリエの知恵かもしれぬがな。
That may be true. Like, I was thinking that maybe Rudolph actually had some wishes there for a person better than those bland girls who didn't know much. That Rudolph desired someone very smart, who knows about love and such. That he wanted somebody to truly respect. But I guess it kind of depends who started it. Did Rudolph desire to go after Kirie because of how much respect he would have for Kirie? Or was it that Kirie went first and wanted to take Rudolph away from the other girls and marry him for... Actually, why would Kirie go after Rudolph? You know, folks, it has been almost 2 years since I started this story. Almost 2 years. There are a couple of months left till the 2-year mark. It is crazy. It is definitely crazy how much stuff has happened. And even to this point, I still wouldn't be able to tell you precisely, with clear, concise arguments, why furniture can't love. I won't be able to. And with that being said, it is obvious that I don't know the meaning behind this test. I clearly don't. So I think that I'm just going to be shifting some gears right over here. I'm just gonna drop my pen and paper for this one. Like, even as I speak, I do have my pen and paper out of here. I'm just gonna put them on the desk. Just gonna resign from this test, and I'm just gonna let it run. And I'm probably not gonna comment too much on the test anymore until the test is gonna finish, and then afterwards I'm gonna think about it. Or who knows, maybe during this test I'm gonna have some new arguments that are definitely gonna be good. And it's not like I'm gonna stop commenting and all that. I'm still gonna comment about some stuff in regards to Rudolph and Kirie, for example, and such. But as of now, I think I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut in regards to how this test is done. I'm just gonna think about it first, and then I'm gonna let it be. So, full speed ahead.
かもね。お母さんはいろいろな意味で頭が良かったから。
Like the other Ushimiya siblings, Rudolph had strong ambitions and lofty goals. Under the mottos of who dares wins and it's not a crime if you don't get caught. He would set up businesses that were borderline swindles or bending the law, then bail out of them, and repeat that process over and over. Ugh. Apparently, he was already making use of that talent in his college years, cleverly making money by thinking up shameless projects and selling cheap tickets to parties for them. So much money that he could brag about how his wallet was always stuffed with 110,000 yen notes. Many women fell for his charisma in being the man responsible for these radical projects, as well as his thick wallet and generosity. Such a thick wallet. It would be a lie to say that Kirie was not one of them. Surely he was compensating for something. However, what made Kirie very different from the other women was that she could also support Rudolph as a business partner. Rudolph would laugh all the way to the bank as his large-scale party succeeded. His female entourage would surround him, and Kirie would be the only one among them able to calmly point out several ways that income and expenditure could be improved on, and even lay out a proposal for the next project.
そうしてルドルフにパートナーとして次第に認められていくわけであるか。
男子厨房に入るべからずっていうように、女もまた財布に入るべからずって空気はあるわよね。女はおごられて当たり前。男の出す1万円札をどうやって捻出しているかは野暮だから聞かない、知らない、興味もない。
キリエは金に対する価値観が男性的であったということだ。
In that regard, Rudolph noticed something unique about Kirie. He knew all about how much hard work it took to make just one of those 10,000 yen notes. So, somewhere inside him, he looked down upon those extravagant women who never even considered the efforts he had undertaken. Among all of them, only Kirie possessed the same sharp financial intuition as Rudolph. Every time Rudolph thought of a new plan, he would talk to Kirie about it, work out the kinks, and make it succeed. I guess it is kind of a reference to George and Shannon in the sense that George saw something different in Shannon, same case here, although the circumstances are different. In this way, Kirie steadily worked her way up until she was the number one of Rudolph's large group of followers.
でも、お母さんだって女。他の女たちにちやほやされてるお父さんを見て、心が安らいでたかどうかは疑わしい。
ナンバーワンよりオンリーワンの方が良いというもの。
そういうこと。お母さんは お父さんの右腕として活躍しながらも、その陰では狡猾に他の女性を切り離していったわ。お母さんの恋の成就はもはや時間の問題だった。
アスムはいつからいたのか。ルドルフさんの取り巻きの一人よ。いえ、取り巻いてさえいなかったわ。ただのファンの一人だったわ。
話したことはあるんですか？
もちろん。私は彼女のことをよく知ってるわ。ルドルフさんがアスムさんの名前さえ知らなかった一番最初からね。あの子もきっと頭のいい子だったの。狡猾だったわ。私は頭の良さで目立とうとしたけど、彼女は全くその逆で目立とうとした。
頭の悪さで？
庇護欲のかきたて方がうまいって意味よ。こびてイチャついてくる女たちの中で、彼女の仕草の一つ一つが派手な女たちに触傷を起こしていたルドルフさんには目立って見えたの。
Even now, Kirie recognized the mistake she had made in letting Asumo and Rudolph get too close. Kirie had thought that by taking the role of his business partner, she had succeeded in making him entirely hers. She might have been a little conceited, and her arrogance in trying to eliminate the relationships the other girls had with Rudolph might also have contributed. Perhaps she sometimes tried too hard as a business partner, putting too much pressure on him, regardless of the fact that it was justified. Bit by bit, Rudolph started to need a woman who could stay quiet and soothe him, without making him think about anything complicated. That woman was Asumo.
私は冷酷で知的、合理的で経済的。カルネアデスの船板のような状況があったら躊躇なく相手を蹴落とすわ。そんなパートナーがあの人にはふさわしいと思っていたから。
However, though their ruthlessness had made her reliable on the business side of things, outside of business, it might have disturbed Rudolph deeply. At some point, though Rudolph still acknowledged Kirie's skill, he began to yearn for a quiet, warm acceptance. Asumo filled that role completely. She would never talk about anything complicated. Even if it did, she would just shake her head to say she didn't know. However, she would care more for him physically than anyone else, quietly putting a blanket on him and staying by his side until morning.
確かに私はビジネスのパートナーの座を手に入れた。しかしいつしかルドルフさんには心を癒してくれるメンタルのパートナーが必要になっていた。私は愚かしくも知的を自称しながらそれに気づけずにいたわ。
それでルドルフおじさんはアスムおばさんと結婚を？
ええ、そうよ。取られた。たくさんの女をはべらしていたもの。今さらどこの女と遊んだって情を移すような人じゃない。それにあの人にとって女なんて遊びでしかなかったもの。だからこそ私は体以外を武器に自分の存在を示していた。慢心だな、女として。
間もなく2人は解任するわ。アスムさんはそれをすぐにお父さんに打ち明けたけど、お母さんは逆だった。
身重になることがビジネスパートナーの座を揺るがすことになりかねないと恐れたのだな。
当時のお母さんは食が細くて体調不良とか当たり前だったみたいだから、解任に気づくのも随分遅れた。
気づいたのは
アスムさんとお父さんが電撃入籍をしてからよ。お母さんはその後に妊娠を知ってアスムさんやお父さんを揺さぶろうと随分暗躍したみたいだけど。
アスムさん、あんなにぼんやりしてそうなのにルドルフさんを加え込んだら話やしない。だから何ですか、どうぞお引き取りくださいですってよ。バス一つ乗るにも怖い怖いと縮こまってたあの小娘がね。あの時悟ったわ。本当に狡猾だったのは彼女だったってね。そうよ、乗り物恐怖症だってルドルフさんの気を引くための嘘だったわ。ごめんなさい、こんな話を聞いてもつまらないわよね。
いえ。
せめて私の産む子だけでも認知させたかったわ。ルドルフさんもそのつもりはあったみたい。病院もきっちり手配してくれたし、アスムさんの出産が近づいても海外しく私のところにも来てくれてたっけ。もはや向こうが本当の奥さんなのにね。ひどい人だわ、ほんと。
After that is the tale I can't bear even to tell. Both Asumu and I had the same delivery date. Same delivery date. And yet her pregnancy led to marriage, while mine was completely meaningless. I swore to bring up my child well, so that Rudolf-san would be proud to call himself its father. Asumu-san had won her battle against me. However, I hadn't yet lost the war. If I could make my child excel far more than Asumu-san's, if I could make any child the one that Rudolf-san most respected, I would be rewarded. And that's what I believed.
しかしキリエの子は死産だった。
ええ、アスムさんにはお兄ちゃんが生まれた。しかしお母さんからは誰も。お母さんのせめて第二夫人の座に残りたいという最後の希望は絶たれた。
Kitty had fallen from his partner to his second wife, and then, unable to give birth to the bond of a child, she tumbled down to being merely his mistress. I can't imagine how much she must have hated Asuma and her child, Beller.
そんなのをお首にも出さず、お母さんはお兄ちゃんとも親しげに接してたわ。ショックだった。あの優しいお母さんがお兄ちゃんにそんな負の感情を持っていて、それを隠しおおせてたなんて。
憎かったであろうな、バトラーが。
でしょうね。もし死産がアスムさんで、お母さんの方がお兄ちゃんを出産していたなら、何か歴史は変わっていたかもしれない。
The thing is, though, I remember we talked about this in Game 4, about Beller not being Asumu's son, so I don't know about that.
もしもそうだったなら、アスムさんと離婚させて、自分と再婚するようなシナリオを描きたいと思ってたみたい。
それも随想録にか。
ええ、だからこそそれは 追想、妄想、涙で濡らしたシーツの端を噛みながらのお母さんの怨嗟。
後悔は一点だけ。
解任ですか？
違う違う、私のおごりだけよ。ルドルフさんはもう私のものだから絶対安全。あんなアスムなんていう小娘に負けるわけがない。彼女がバスや飛行機でギャーギャーわめくとき、私はその手配と経費を適正に処理できた。だから私は一番ルドルフさんに信頼されているとおごり高ぶっていた。
I mean, screaming and shrieking, it is definitely a battler thing.
恋って育むって言うでしょ。
はい。
間違ってないわ。二人で水をやり、世話をして育む。そして最後に結実するのが愛という実なの。知ってる？結実して終わりじゃないのよ。愛を収穫しなきゃ恋は成就したことにならないの。
Oh boy. How lovely.
収穫って？
それはジェシカちゃんが考えなさい。実らせても収穫しなきゃ傷んで腐ることもある。虫がたかることだってもちろんあるわ。いいえ、それどころか盗っ人が現れてもぎ取っていってしまうことさえもね。ジェシカちゃんたち若い子の恋愛観は育むところで終わってる。それは甘いわ。愛を収穫しなきゃ恋は報われない。
愛を収穫。
それは一見愛し合う二人きりだけの問題に見えて、そんなことはないのよ。だからいつ収穫しても自由なんていう先延ばしは盗っ人に機会を与えるだけ。苦労して育てた実が翌朝にもぎ取られてなくなっていたわ。昨日のうちにめんどくさがらずに収穫しておけばよかったと後悔するはずよ。辛いわよ、その後悔は。地獄を這うわよ。私はこう思うよ。その地獄が18年で終わったから。だからもう私は自分を間違えない。あの人は私のものにもう逃がさない、手放さない。そして主に感謝する。その機会を与えてくれて、絶対にあの人を諦めないという絶対の意志に奇跡が応えてくれた。
By now, Jessica was speechless, and didn't even nod her head in understanding. This true form of love that Kitty was telling her about was far, far more harsh than anything she had imagined.
今の私はルドルフさんを私のところにつなぎ止めるためなら何でもするわ。そしてルドルフさんの敵には一切容赦しない。あの人が望むならば私は人殺しさえも躊躇しないかもしれない。18年目にしてようやくその決意を持ったからこそ、絶対の意志が奇跡を私にもたらしてくれたんだわ。奇跡はね、それを自ら成し遂げられる者のところにしか現れない。
Asuma's death was no murder. However, Kirie had often cursed her and hoped for her death. And finally, on the 18th year, she built up the determination to kill her with her own hands. And then, she actually got herself a knife with which to do the deed. And that was when the miracle occurred.
アスムおばさんが亡くなったことが奇跡。
違うわ。そんなの全然奇跡じゃない。だって彼女が死ななければ私が殺していたもの。つまり彼女は必ず死ぬ運命だった。奇跡なのは彼女が死んだにもかかわらず私が自らの手を汚さずに済んだ。この一点に尽きるのよ。
And no, Kiria had never shown Jessica, no. She had never even shown Rudolph that glint in the deepest depths of her eyes. He told plainly and clearly that romance and love are not the sweet and fluffy candies that young girls imagine them to be. Jessica was overwhelmed by that pressure and stunned suddenly. And she had to acknowledge it. Okay, you know what? I don't think that I can go through this without at least saying something. Call my view of love naive, or however you want, but you know what? If that fruit can be harvested so easily, just like that, in my eyes, I don't see that fruit as something very valuable and nutritious that I can eat, that can make me healthy. If that love can be easily so swayed by somebody else, then I don't think that love is worth for someone like me. Like, you, Kiria, you apparently loved Rudolph, but if it's not the other way around, then what is even the point? If Rudolph can just easily go to the next woman and love them, like, is it really your fault? Like, all your fault? That you would have lost Rudolph and you had to battle through hell and even lose your humanity in order to go through it and even kill Asumu? Would it have really been all your fault? You view it the way you view it, and I view it the way I view it, I guess. This was the part of will that could make love be realized. And this was the level of willpower Kira showed in her support of Rudolph as his wife. And it was the same for George. Like, you know, love is not fluffy stuff and candies, but at the same time it's not war, where you have to kill people in order to realize your love. It is somewhere in between. Like, you, Kirie, given the fact that you have dedicated yourself to your love, while it is immoral, it is at least determination as such, to have your relationship be fulfilled. But as long as Rudolph didn't view it the same way, then of course you're gonna go through this sort of stuff. Imagine how life would have been if Rudolph also would have viewed things, like, much more clearly, in terms of love. You would have dedicated yourself to it, and maybe it wouldn't have been so difficult for you at the same time. He already had the willpower to confront everything in the way of his love, that transcended status. And he had proven that. Alright, I think that I've said what I had to say. Let's go through the rest of the test. Now, Jessica could clearly understand. This was the magnitude of George's determination, which had allowed him to coldly carry out his part of the demon's charm. Then, what about her? Did she really have the resolve to make her love would come on bear fruit, and go through with the task of harvesting it?
ごめんなさい。軽いアドバイスのつもりが怖がらせすぎちゃったかしら。この天気のせいね。軽く凄むだけのつもりだったのに加減を間違えちゃったわ。
Kitty let the relaxed smile rise to her face. The tense atmosphere finally slackened. However, her words had been gouging at Jessica's heart.
ジェシカちゃんの恋がどんなものかはわからないけれど、ライバルがいてお互いが譲れない状況ならばなおのこと、のんびりなんかしてられない。じゃないと私みたいになっちゃうわよ。女は恋のために人生で一度殺意を持つべきよ。世界中で母を名乗る全ての女がそうだったと断言できるわ。だってそうじゃない女は他の女に食い殺されて生涯を嫉妬と後悔の地獄で這い続けるのだから。私はその地獄に18年いた。私は幸運よ。たった18年で恩赦になれた。あの地獄には今も大勢の女たちがいて死ぬまで出られないの。後悔する自分を自らの手で処刑しない限りね。
なんていうか言葉もないです。
エールを送るつもりだったのに私ったら脅しすぎたわ。本当にごめんなさい。恋愛なんてもっともっと気楽でいいのよ。恋愛なんて本当に火遊び。誰でも簡単に気軽に遊べちゃう。そして間違えて大やけどした時、その傷が生涯残るんだけどね。
Regrets and love will never fade. And that was all that Kirie had been trying to communicate. It wasn't like Kirie to tell her life story instead of just saying something like that directly. In fact, her past was a topic she usually avoided. However, Kirie might have felt as though Jessica deserved to hear her. And Jessica had timidly brought up the subject of love. Perhaps Kirie had opened up and told everything. And because she had seen the fires of Jessica's determination in her eyes.
じゃあ私はそろそろ戻るわね。今の話、私たちだけの内緒よ。
With a mysterious smile on her face, Kirie turned around.
脅しすぎちゃったかしら。でも脅されて知る地獄の方が100倍いい。そこに落ちた時はもう手遅れなのだから。頑張ってね、ジェシカちゃん。ややこしそうな恋だけど負けないでね。たまには人生の先輩らしく振る舞えたかしら。ん？何？ジェシカちゃん。
Ugh. A windstorm grazed Kirie's head. He had missed by a hair. If Kirie hadn't twisted her body slightly, that fist would probably have been buried in her face by now. Well, congratulations, Kirie. You have managed to turn Jessica into a monster. Go figure. A bitter smile rose to Jessica's face when she saw that her first strike had failed to land a kill.
言っとくけど、卑怯者だから不意打ちをしたわけじゃねえんだぜ。わけのわからないうちに一撃で、痛みさえ理解できないうちに終わらせようとしたのに。
言ったでしょ、嫉妬の地獄で生きてきたって。刺されそうになったことの2度や3度あるんだから。わかるのよ、不意打ちの直前の雰囲気が。
気配で分かったとでも？
それプラス一番最初の嘘かしら。
嘘？
だってゲストハウスから来てジェシカちゃんの部屋で本を取って帰ろうとしたら、ここでこの向きでは出会わないもの。あなたがその嘘をつく必要性についてチェス盤理論で想定した7つのケースの中で最悪のものがこれだったわ。
Telling a hasty lie to Kitty would only put her on her guard. If Jessica hadn't told that lie, her surprise attack would have succeeded. I guess so. It's about planting the seed from the beginning, I guess.
やるね。さすがキリエおばさんだぜ。
どうして？あなたは最初から私を殺すつもりだったの？
誰でもよかった。
最悪だわ。
キリエおばさんの話のおかげで吹っ切れた。感謝するぜ。
Alright, I guess so. Time for the second battle. Bing, 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 bing. Kitty dodged the punch, placed her hand against that fist, and slammed it against the wall. Ordinarily, being made to punch the wall should have caused Jessica to hurt her own hand, and roll around clutching it in pain. However, Jessica's fist had left what looked like a meter-wide crater in the wall. Instead of a look of anguish after smashing her fist against the wall, Jessica clicked her tongue in irritation at having missed.
すごいわね。さすがクラウス兄さんの子だわ。ボクシングでも始めたの？
Impossible. Jessica is barehanded. She isn't holding any sort of weapon at all.
抵抗しないで、おばさん。頭一発。痛みなんか感じさせない。
Kiria tried to look confident. She couldn't hide her confusion at this unreal destructive force. If that punch had hit, her head probably would have split open like Jessica had said, killing her without any pain.
行くぜ。
If Kiria's kick off the ground and lay backward had been an instant slower, her gut would probably have been pulverized. Though she had avoided it by a hair, Jessica's left body blow was followed by a turbo tornado-like gust of wind, which blew Kitty back.
これは夢？私寝ぼけてる。わけがわからない。
Does Jessica look like the normal Jessica? But something was different. It wasn't human. Her common sense didn't apply to it. And this had to be some kind of nightmare. Well, gee, don't you see? It's like a mirror. It's like you have a mirror like right in front of you, Kiria. She is fighting the same way that you would be fighting too. Kiria slowly stood up. Then she looked at Jessica, noticed several meters between them, and realized just how far that blast of wind had sent her flying.
恨んでくれていいぜ。でも私もキリエおばさんの言うように弾けないんだ。私も自分の恋中途半端には終わらせられねえんだ。
あなたは何を言ってるの？ねえ、何を言ってるの？何なのよこれは一体。誰か教えて！
The air around Jessica seemed to bend like a heat wave. It seemed to be enshrouding her fists, and it seemed as though something like a red magic circle had appeared beneath her feet. She looked just like a western demon standing amidst the flames of hell.
炎熱不要、重量不要、鉄鋼不要。
Each time Jessica murdered, her fists were surrounded by a pulsating, sinister red light. Maximum armor, maximum speed, maximum strength. Those fists, which were even giving off smoke, surely represented the iron hammers of hell wielded by demons. Kiria dashed away with lightning speed. Right now, that was her best option. She was smart enough to realize that pinching her cheek wasn't the best way to wake up from this nightmare. And by now, this came as no surprise.
Noby.
When Jessica muttered once more, a blood-red magical barrier blocked off the corridor. Kiria slammed into it hard and realized that her path of escape had been cut off.
Ah, 悪夢だぜ。それが望みならすぐに覚めさせてやるよ。一撃さ。動かないで。
Jessica slowly stepped forward towards her, and shrouded in flames. Each time her feet lifted off the floor, boiling steam hung around her footprints. And this was a true nightmare. Kiria clutched her head in her hands, shaking it over and over again.
悪夢なのね。これは悪夢なのね。お願い。そうだと言って。
ああ、悪夢だぜ。
悪夢なのね。悪夢なのね。
私が認めてやるぜ。これが悪夢さ。
認めるわ。これは悪夢だと認める。だから
覚ましてやるぜ。一撃でな。
Jessica's neck twisted at an odd angle, and she staggered backwards. Her eyes rolled back into her head, as though she didn't have a clue what had just happened. Oh my, it would seem that Kiria had summoned the powers of the Princess of Envy herself. A demon stake was buried at an angle into her forehead. It pulled itself out of her, spun around, then became Leviathan and landed. The hole left behind in Jessica's head spilled blood.
嫉妬のレビアタン、ここに。
悪夢の中だっていうなら、私の悪夢に出てくる友人がいてもいいわよね。嫉妬の地獄の友人よ。危機一髪だったわ。ありがとう。
感謝は早いわ。こいつ耐えてる。
And though she had taken a deep gouge to the top of the head, Jessica just stood there, convulsing and wide-eyed, and then fall over. And the blood stopped pouring out her forehead, and her blank, doll-like eyes returned. Then, she slowly pressed her own palm against the wound in her forehead. And there was a sizzle, as though she had pressed a hot iron against it. It was easy to imagine that she was doing this to seal up the wound. If Kiria didn't escape now, there would never be another chance.
あいつを倒せる。
無理ね。あいつ大悪魔の誰かと契約してるわ。不死身よ。
それは愛ゆえに、だから不死身なのさ。は
あ、愛よ偉大なれ。我らの祝福する者に不死身あれ。
この赤い魔法の壁は破れる？
ロノエ様も大悪魔。
I mean, aren't the seven stakes under... Whatever, I'm gonna think about this after the test.
私じゃ無理よ。
窓から逃げられる？
窓もとっくにロノエ様の結界で塞がれてるわ。
すごいわね。恋のために悪魔に魂を売ったわけかしら。
よくもあんな大悪魔たちとこんなにも契約が。妬ましい。
装甲不要、全属性防御、攻撃反応装甲不要。
In response to these words, this time her entire body pulsated with red light. She had upgraded herself with a defensive power that would ensure Leviathan's attacks would never work again.
あいつ何を言ってる？
自己増強よ。エンチャントっていうの。今のあいつは私に二度と貫かせない防御力を持ち、その上攻撃者にダメージ反射する力まで持ってる。もう人間じゃないわ。化け物よ。
なんだ、さっきと大して変わってないわね。
そうとも言う？
最初の時点から勝ち目がないことに何の変化もないわ。
痛かった。でも効かない。
Jessica slowly lifted a hand that had been covering her forehead, and there was no longer any hole there. The hole was blocked by barriers in both directions, and even the windows were sealed. There was no way out.
そこの部屋の扉封印されてる？
ただの正常だわ。でもただの部屋よ。窓はあるけれどすでに封印されてるわ。つまりは密室、私たちの棺桶ってわけ。
One could say that it's obvious that it's a trap. I mean, why seal the windows but not the door when you can just seal the door?
棺桶？上等だわ。鍵を開けて。妬ましいわ。あんたにしか開けられないなって。
Leviathan's stake flew about at high speeds, ramming itself into a keyhole to that room. The tip of the stake had become a key. As soon as it wasn't locked, the door flew open. Oh? Then fell into the room and quickly locked it. This was probably Krause's study. Its soothing furnishings brought about a sense of nobility that Krause would probably like.
正常なんかしてもあいつは扉を一撃で打ち砕けるわ。キリエは自分で自分の棺桶の蓋を閉じただけよ。
I don't know, just throw a bunch of chairs at her.
でもね、棺桶の中で私たちにとどめを食らわせたかったら蓋を開けなければならない。
With dim eyes, Jessica tilted her head upon hearing Kiria's words.
何を言ってんの？その小さな部屋がどうしておばさんを守ってくれると？
確かにこの部屋は密室だわ。私たちの退路はない。でもね、あなただってこの部屋には侵入できないのよ。
She can't?
それが密室というもの。
何を言っている？そんなちっぽけな部屋にこんなちっぽけな扉一枚でどうして私から逃れたつもりに？
With a confused expression on her face, Jessica looked wearily between her own burning fists and the door. Oh, could it be We're starting a battle between mystery and magic here? Then slowly, she sent a pulsating red light to her fist. She repeatedly enchanted her fist to give them the destructive power for the kid in blue. I guess maybe Benica still has something to do with this. She finally stepped in and decided to go with a mystery route on this and see to it that Kitty is protected from Battler's test right over here to put a stop to this test. Maybe. Responding calmly through the door, which was the only thing separating her from Jessica, Kirie placed a single index finger on it as if to hold it shut. Jessica slowly raised a fire-wreathed demon fist.
Sayonara, Kirie-oba-san.
Oh? Jessica's fist slammed into the door in slow motion. It's the same kind of slow motion often seen as a special effect at the climax of a movie. However, this was no special effect. Jessica's fist really was slowing down as though it was being sucked in, like a spoon sinking into a jar of honey. The punch was no longer a punch. It was no more than a knock.
私は恋に対する甘えと傲慢から18年嫉妬の地獄を張ったわ。だからあなたが妬ましいの。あなたは私の忠告を受けて恋を成就させて美しい人生を歩むのじゃね。ああ、妬ましいわ。女の一番美しい時間。あなたは私よりも18年も長く過ごせる。ああ、妬ましい。
Jessica tried to slap her fist against the door over and over again. However, as soon as her fist approached it, its speed plummeted. She could barely knock, much less smash the door. Okay, Kitty, I didn't know that you could do something like that, slash you could summon somebody to do something like that. What did he even do? Oh god. Jessica's gonna go ora on that door. With full speed upgrades, Jessica's fist moved at the speed of sound. 1,225 kilometers per hour. However, how long had Jessica been being envied to gain that speed? She had started to envy George and Chano's relationships about 2 years ago? 2 times 365 equals 730 days. 730 times 24 equals 17,520 hours. Magic math! However, she wasn't envious all the time. It only happened when Shannon started going on about George. With Shannon's shift on about 3 days of the week, divided by 7 times 3. It wasn't as though she would go on about George all day long. Her fond words for him would only leave a mark on Jessica for about an hour? It's only 24th of each day. 17,520 divided by 7 times 3 divided by 24 equals 312, rounded down. The number of hours that Kitty had been jealous was 157 times 157,680. In other words, This was scanned 0.2% of the time that Kirie had been jealous. Oh my god, so much math. Hold on, I gotta pick up my pen and paper once again. Ugh. You're 1,225 kilometers per hour. The speed of sound becomes only 2.45 kilometers per hour. In one time away, in the 1 per 500 world.
わかる？あなた、恋も嫉妬も足りないわ。
Even Jessica's Sonic's fists were no faster than a walking child in Kirie's world. Jessica ground her teeth, her fist still pressed against the door. Someone could have seen this from both sides of the door. You know, it looked as though Kirie was holding it shut with a single finger.
さすがキリエ。
ねえ、この部屋は密室でしょ。ジェシカちゃんはせいぜいノックをすることはできるけど、中の私たちには指一本触れることはできない。
ベアトリーチェの密室定義ですね。
何そ
こうなるとこの密室ちと厄介ですな。密室殺人を行うのは人間には不可能。それが行えるのは魔法だけです。ジェシカ様が真に魔法を理解されない限り打ち破れます
が。もはやジェシカちゃんに私を詰めることはできない。やがて時間は進み、私がいつまでも戻らないことに気づいた親族たちが屋敷を探し始めるわ。そしてあなたは観測される。魔女も魔法も観測されたら消える。悪夢の時間はもう終わりよ、お嬢ちゃん。
おや？ジェシカがいきなり脱落なんてびっくりだよ。
どうか頑張って。愛しのカノンのためにも。
さあジェシカ、愛を信じてどうか奇跡を見せておくれ。
Meow, that's right.
訂正するわ。時間の経過を待つ必要さえない。だってここに内線電話があるんだもん。もちろん断線なんかしてないわ。私はこの受話器を取る。これが私のチェックメイト。
構築完了。密室殺人。
おや、有効ですな。
浸透付与、打撃伝達、間接攻撃力付与。
Jessica's fist, which was pressed against the door, glowed red, and then white hot. Jessica didn't even swing her fist. She just kept it pressed against the door. However, Jessica's murder reached inside the locked room. Through the cracks in the study room, through the keyhole, burst the flames of hell. Jessica couldn't see what was happening inside the room. However, even here, on the other side of the door, she could tell that the flames of hell had soiled the entire room. You know, magic or not, I don't think that putting a room on fire is good for the rest of the mansion. As long as if you don't have the means of putting it out. I'm just saying. I hope that you will not forget to put the fire out afterwards. Kirie's smoldering death throes could be heard from across the door. Jessica clearly heard as Kirie danced the dance of death amidst the hellfire. Fell to her knees and slumped over to the floor. Slowly, Jessica tore her burning fist away from the door.
そんなに嫉妬の地獄が恋しいなら焼かれてろ。嫉妬の炎で永遠に。嫉妬から学ぶものもあるだろうぜ。だがそれは誇るもんじゃねえし義務でもねえ。やっぱりあんたおごってたぜ、キリエおばさん。
お見事な密室殺人ですな。
後片付けを頼むぜ。やがて見つかる遺体が黒焦げじゃあまりに申し訳がない。きれいにしてやってくれるか。
かしこまりました、お嬢様。
I don't know, I transformed into a gold butterfly and then to cross the study through the keyhole. And then he had to cross his arms and think about how he should even start cleaning up Kirie's unrecognized corpse and this room that had ended up as a burning hell. Leviathan, you are okay there, right? You didn't burn yourself too, I would assume. Jessica finally let out the breath that she had been holding down in her chest. Her normal human glint finally returned to her eyes. And then, she couldn't help but shudder at what she had done. Even it had been just a troll on the game board for the sake of her love.
悪魔ども、これでいいんだろう。
ええ、お見事です、ジェシカ。あなたの愛も本物だ。
George welcomed Jessica with crisp applause. Beto timidly tried to join him, but Jessica yelled at them and she stopped.
ゲーム版の上の話じゃないか。そこまで悲しむことじゃない。
理屈じゃ分かってる。でもだからって心の整理がつくわけがねえだろ。お嬢様、カノン君、私君のことが好き。諦められないよ。だから示したよ、私の気持ち。私間違ってないよね。間違ってないよね。お嬢様。
Jessica started to sob. Kanon held her quietly. And he realized that he would have to carry on the determination she had shown him.
何も間違ってないさ、君は。そして人の心を残し苦しむことも間違ってない。僕はそういうことに対し少し君よりストイックだっただけの話さ。
誰もがジョージ様の境地に至れるわけではありません。しかしどうあれお嬢様はとにもかくにも試練を成し遂げられた。お見事です。その決意の強さ。
そういうことであるな。ジョージもジェシカも見事やり遂げたことは同じだ。
Alrighty then. Well, I guess so. Let's move on to the next test. Assuming that it is either Sean or Kano's turn. Or Beto's turn.
あっぱれであったぞ、ジェシカ。今の密室殺人。魔女のわらわも見惚れるなかなかのものであった。
Jessica had used magic to kill Kitty, who had holed up inside a closed room. In that instant, Jessica had constructed a lock to the murder, had it acknowledged by the demons, and raised it to the level of the magic.
これで二人の試練が完了だわ。
I guess if I am to put it in non-magical terms, she basically set up a trap for Kitty, like, right from the get-go. Like, she had to make sure that Kitty would go in that specific room, and that would have been her death, like right there. She didn't necessarily have to punch her to death. She just had to send her, like, in that room where the fire will start.
さあ、次は誰が挑戦を？
ベアトリーチェ様かしら？
いやいや、シャノンかもしれないよ。
ここはカノンの出番に違いないわ。
さあ、名乗り出てほしい。次は誰？誰が試練を？
Meow, that's right. Who's gonna be next?
魔女がゲーム版の殺人に臆してどうするというのか。臆ても過ぎれば恋を殺すぞ。
さあ、次は
誰が恋の殺人を？
The three who remain locked. The three who remain looked at each other. The other two are going to spend a few more moments hesitating to raise their hands. I'll raise my own instead. All three thought this at the same time. So, they all raised their hands at the same time. The ones they loved had already shown their determination. They had to carry on. All of them raised their hands at the same time, you say, eh?